Hey, this is one of my favorite things to do because I love to talk to leaders, and I especially love our theme this year, Architects of Tomorrow. We're going to talk about tomorrow all day today, which is a little confusing, but we are going to talk about tomorrow today. We're going to talk about how, as leaders, to leverage what's going on right now for a better tomorrow, both in terms of your company, your job, your business, your influence. The younger you are, the better it is that you're here. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But before we talk about tomorrow, I do want to talk a little bit about today. Here's something interesting. Through the years, there have been many surveys asking people what they look for or what they want most in a leader. And every time those surveys are given, whatever country it is, but primarily these are in the United States and Europe, whenever people are asked, what do you want in a leader? What do you look most for in a leader? What's the thing you appreciate or value most in a leader, in your leaders? So this is important. The answer comes back over and over and over. People say, we want integrity, we want honesty, we want somebody we can trust, we want somebody who does what they say they're gonna do. If they say yes, it's really a yes. If it's no, it's really a no. Someone we can entrust our future to, somebody who's gonna make promises they're actually gonna keep. All the words that come back around the question of what do we want or what do we value most in a leader, it always comes back in all the surveys to the word integrity. The problem is, that's not who we actually follow. We actually follow the person that has this word, clarity. We value integrity, but we actually follow clarity. We value integrity. I don't think we're lying when we say, hey, the thing we value most in a leader is integrity, somebody that's going to tell the truth, somebody that's honest, someone we can trust. But in reality, when you look back on the people you have followed, the people who've not just, gotten your hands involved with something, but your heart, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. The truth is, all of us follow the person, follow the man, follow the woman, follow the group, but specifically a person who is the clearest about what the future should look like. We follow clarity. Now, here's the good news, believe it or not, you can have both. You can have integrity and you can have clarity, and this is what we're going to talk about today. If you just have integrity, you'll do okay. But if you learn to harness, and if you learn to leverage what I'm going to talk about in this first session, and especially again, we'll talk about it all day long. If you learn the value of and learn to leverage the power of clarity, you have just harnessed the power that has the power and the ability to split the world in half. Now, this is a horribly negative illustration to start the day off with, but I just want to make sure before we go too far, you understand how important what we're talking about really is. Adolf Hitler split the world with a microphone. Never fired a shot. Never visited a concentration camp. But he stood up in front of the people of Germany and he cast a vision about the future of Germany that was so powerful and so galvanizing that the people of Germany rose up, and by the end of the Second World War, this crazy madman with a microphone had engaged the entire world to some extent in the Second World War. That is the power of clarity. And it also shows what happens when you divorce clarity from integrity, because clarity wins the day every single time. It's extraordinarily powerful. We value integrity, but at the end of the day, we follow clarity. Clarity, as you've already discovered in your life, maybe you just didn't have terms. Clarity is absolutely magnetic. Clarity trumps integrity. Clarity trumps certainty. In all leadership environments, there is uncertainty. But the person who can step into certainty with clarity is declared and is viewed and is perceived as the leader. Clarity trumps humility. You've followed some very, very humble leaders and some arrogant leaders, but you'll follow a leader that has clarity regardless of humility. And the other thing that's interesting about this is that as a leader, you can make many mistakes, and people will forgive you of your mistakes as long as you are as clear as you can possibly be about the future. People forgive leaders that make mistakes who are clear, because at the end of the day, what we all want is someone who casts a compelling vision. That's what we're going to talk about in this session, who is as clear as we've ever heard anyone be about the future. We value integrity as we should, but at the end of the day, it is the leaders who give us pictures of a future that is clear. Those are the leaders in business, in the nonprofit world, or in the political world that ultimately we follow. So what we're going to talk about today is really a big deal. What we're going to talk about in this session is really, really important. But in case you're not convinced, I thought since we are in a political season, we should talk about our topic within the context of what's going on currently. So for the past month, because I knew I was going to talk about this, anytime I got in front of a group of people, large groups, small groups, staff members, I would ask them the questions I'm about to ask you to make sure that my theory was correct. So you don't need to raise your hand unless you just want to. You don't need to shout out an answer unless you just want to. You don't need to stand up and say something to the screen if you're at one of our host sites unless you just want to. Whenever you talk about political things, people get angry and mad, since I thought we should make sure we're all wide awake, so I thought I would just be political. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I just want you, and here's why I'm asking these questions. I want you to pay attention to how long it takes you to come up with an answer to these questions. And most of these questions you will have no answer for. In fact, when I would ask these questions in front of groups where I could actually see their faces and their eyes, I could tell by their body language and which way they sent their eyes as to whether or not they knew the answer to the question and how hard they were having to think. And this illustrates what we're going to talk about in this first session, and really illustrates what we're going to talk about all day long. In 2008, when our current president was running for office, do you remember what his campaign slogan was all those many years ago? Yeah, what's the word? What's the one word you remember? You can say it out loud. Change. That's right. His campaign slogan was change we can believe in. You still remember that. In fact, anytime I ask people that question, even if they stumble a little bit, they finally get to the word change, and sometimes they get the whole campaign slogan. By the end of his first run for office, his entire campaign slogan had been reduced down to this one word, change. It was all about change. So then I asked people, 2008, do you remember Hillary Clinton's campaign slogan? That's when people look up to the left or up to the right and start thinking real hard. I can't remember. Now, granted, she didn't actually run at the end for president, but she was running against our current president for the nomination. Okay, what about her campaign slogan was Solutions for America. Not a great campaign slogan. We're not blaming her. She probably didn't come up with any of her campaign slogans. They hire people to do that. So here's the next question. What is Hillary Clinton's current campaign slogan? How hard did you have to think about that? It was like, okay, I think. Her, and the reason it's hard to remember is she's on her fourth one. Now, I'm not knocking Hillary Clinton. I doubt she has anything to do with any of that, okay? These are her handlers. These are people who are marketing her. But when you have to change campaign slogans, which most presidential candidates end up doing, it's because the first one didn't stick. So her first campaign slogan, which I bet none of you could remember, was Hillary for America. The problem with this, apparently they figured out, is this doesn't promise anything except Hillary for America, okay? Which for some people is a great promise, and for other people it's like, but what does that mean? Okay, here's another one. Bernie Sanders. What is Bernie Sanders' campaign slogan? You're gonna get it wrong. What is it? Feel the burn. That was not his campaign slogan. It was a great slogan for people who love Bernie Sanders, but almost no one, when I ask them, even people who love Bernie Sanders, what is it? It's like everybody looks up and it's like, I think it. So here was his original campaign slogan that they've since changed. A political revolution is coming. Is that a good thing? I don't know. Revolutions don't usually go very well, okay? But this was it, okay? Now I'm not picking on anybody. Ted Cruz. Everybody goes, Ted Cruz. Yeah, a few of you, yeah, okay. By the time that he pulled out, he was on his fourth campaign slogan. The first one was this: reigniting the promise of America. What does that mean? I don't know. In fact, if we were to all have 3x5 cards and I were to ask you to write down what is the promise of America, we would get as many different answers as there are people in this room and people watching. So I'd go through this. I would even, John McCain. It's like, John McCain, who is that? Oh, yeah, Mitt Romney's. Nobody remembers. And then it builds up to the moment that most of you know that I'm building up to. And then I say to people of all different political persuasions, can you from your memory banks recall Donald Trump's campaign slogan? Anybody? Yeah, and even the people who hate him roll their eyes and go, make America great again. Right. Do you know how many times he's changed it? 0 times. Is it original with him? No, he just dropped Ronald Reagan's word, but he captured a sentence. He captured a sentence that is about the future. It's a promise, and unlike any of the other campaign slogans, it has an element of emotion. Now, back to my original point. When people are surveyed about how they think about all the people who have run or are currently running for president, and the question is asked, of all the current candidates or the past candidates, who rates lowest in trust and integrity and in honesty? And it is our presumptive nominees. The two people it looks like we're going to be left with are the people who rate the lowest in integrity, but they rate the highest in clarity, especially at this moment, Donald Trump. The point is simply this. And again, you can remember President Obama's campaign slogan from 8 years ago. Clarity is magnetic. Clarity is powerful. Clarity covers a multitude of other kinds of sins. Clarity is the thing that every single leader needs if they are going to move people or a group or a business or a nonprofit forward. Elections, in case you didn't know this, elections are not honesty contests. Elections are not even promise competitions. We vote for the candidate who is clearest. We vote for the candidate who is clearest about what we hold dearest. That's who we vote for. We vote for the candidate who is the clearest about the things and the values that we hold dearest. We value integrity, we follow clarity. Now, if I were to sit down and be done with this session, that is such a big, big, big idea. And it applies to every single one of us, whether we're fathers, mothers, whether we own businesses, run businesses, middle management, or you're not even sure why you're here today. So real quickly, what I want to do is turn the corner and I want to talk specifically about vision. Because when it comes to your business or your nonprofit or whatever it is that you're doing, if you're going to create clarity around an idea, and if you're going to infuse that idea with emotion, you have got to be crystal clear on what your vision is for your organization, division, or department. So let me give you a quick definition, and then I'll give you some details. Vision, definition. A vision is a mental picture of a what. This is so important, especially for those of you who are marketplace leaders. A vision is a mental picture of a what. It is not a mental picture of a how. The reason businesses in particular, not nonprofits so much, the reason businesses do not have great vision statements is because they pack into several sentences the what and the how. But a vision is not about how. In fact, going back to Donald Trump for just a minute, one of the criticisms he gets is, but how? But he's smart enough to know you focus on the what. Because a compelling what statement gathers the momentum you need to figure out how. And if you're not careful, we've talked about this at Leadercast before, if you're not careful, you have the potential to how a great idea right out of your company. Vision is about what. What first, how follows. So the whole definition, a mental picture of what could be. In other words, this is something that has to be within the realm of reality, fueled by a conviction that it should be. A could be is a wish. A could be is a dream. A could be is, I hope somebody figures that out someday. I wish somebody would solve that problem. But a should be is, we've got to do something about this, and we've got to do something about it right now. A mental picture of what could be, fueled by the conviction it should be, or the shorter definition, if you just want 2 words, a vision is a preferred future. It's a mental picture of a preferred future. Now, for the rest of our time, because this was my assignment, I want to talk about how you create a vision statement, how you cast a compelling vision, how you keep it in front of people. But real quick, I want to make sure everybody listening at all of our host sites and in this room understand how important this is to you. Because as I go through this exercise, because of my limited amount of time, you're going to be tempted to think, well, if I was the CEO, if I was the president, if I was on the board, if I was on the leadership team, if I was one of the they in our company, this might be important to me. But I'm middle management, I'm sales, I'm marketing, I'm R&D, I'm administrative assistant, Andy. This was really fascinating for the people who make the decisions in our company. I don't know that this is relevant for me. I want you to look right here. I want to explain something to you real carefully. Here, look up here. In fact, even if you're not even sure why you're here, you're an intern, you're a summer hire, and somebody got sick and they called you at 6:30 this morning and say, hey, we have an extra ticket. They woke you up out of a stupor. You heard Leadercast, but you only heard the word cast, and you thought it had something to do with a bass contest or a fishing contest. Contest, and you showed up, and now you're sitting with a bunch of people with sports coats and skirts thinking, what am I doing here? Look up here for just a second, okay? Look. What I'm about to explain works at every level of every organization. This is not just vision for a product or a service. This is vision about your particular department, your particular division. The people within any organization, or the people working in any department or division of any organization, those who have vision and are able to be clear about why our division or department exists will emerge, ultimately, they will be perceived as leaders within the context of what they're doing. So if you will begin to do what I'm about to teach you to do, you will have taken a huge step forward. In fact, let me just give you a real quick career tip, and then I'm going to jump into the content. Here's the career tip. Clarity results in influence. Always. Clarity results in influence, which is the essence of leadership. Clarity results in influence. And think about it. Every time you have voted or elected an official, every time you voted for president and your candidate became president, did you know what kind of leader they were? The answer is no. All you knew is the clarity they presented and painted about the future, and that was enough for you. Why? Because clarity is perceived ultimately as leadership, because clarity brings influence. We follow the people who are clearest, and clarity ultimately is translated in our minds and in our hearts as leadership. So, regardless of where you are in the organization, regardless of how long you've been where you are in the organization, if you'll pay attention, and you will learn the skill, and you will craft the skill of bringing clarity to confusion, clarity at the end of a meeting, clarity into a conversation, you will gain influence. And your influence will be perceived as leadership or potential leadership. Clarity taps the emotion that's associated with all of those things. That's what makes it so incredibly powerful. So, real quick, let's jump into this. Making Vision Stick. I have a little book. Actually, they have them for sale here, and I have 2 kids in college. Just want to say that. A little book. It's a tiny little book. It's a tiny little book because I wrote it for people who are too busy to read a big book on vision. And the book is called Making Vision Stick, and all of this content is in there with a lot more detail, so I'm going to hit it pretty quickly, and then we'll get on to the rest of this session. Making Vision Stick. If you're going to be clear, if you're going to create vision within the context of your department or division, 4 things you got to do. Number 1, you got to state it simply. You got to state it simply. State it simply. Paragraphs and complex sentences do not stick. This is the problem with the mission statement in your organization. It's really good. It's really complete. Nobody can remember it. It's not portable. Memorable is portable. Memorable is portable. Memorable is portable. And if your vision's going to stick, if it's going to make a difference, it's got to be memorable. That's why no matter what you think about Donald Trump, when I ask people, what is his vision for America? What's his campaign slogan? Everybody knows it because memorable is portable. Memorable is portable. Incomplete and memorable is better than complete and forgettable. Incomplete, that is, you don't try to cram everything into your vision statement. Incomplete but memorable is way better than complete. We got it all forced in there, but absolutely forgettable. And the way that you keep it short is you remember, vision is about what, not how, what, not how. So here's a tip as you begin to think about, because one of the challenges for many of you is you're going to think, well, our organization is so complex, our business is so complex, our industry is so complex. I'm not sure, Andy, there's like a vision statement, or what we do in sales is so complex. I'm not sure there's a statement. So let me kind of give you a tip as you start thinking about this. Your product and your service, your division, your department, whatever you do, wherever you work, your product, your service, your division, your department, wherever you are, is a solution to a problem. Now, you don't think of it in those terms, but it's a solution to a problem. That's why we talk about business solutions. Your industry, your product, your service, again, what you're doing in marketing, what you're doing in sales, what you're doing in R&D, wherever you work, there's a sense in which it is a solution to a problem. In other words, what would go unaddressed or what would go undone if your division or your department were to disappear? If your division or department were to disappear, there would be a problem. Your division, department, your service, your product is a solution to a problem. So to get to the nut, to get to the epicenter, to get right to the heart of the vision for whatever it is you're doing, you simply ask this question. If we are a solution, what's the problem? If we're a solution to something, what exactly is the problem? If you will focus on this question, you will get to the heart of what you need to focus your folks' attention on. Now, I'm in the church business, okay, so to speak. We make churches. You manufacture things, we manufacture churches. That's what I do. Years and years ago, in fact, 20 years ago, our organization is 20 years old this past October. 20 years ago, we decided to start a church, but the problem in Atlanta wasn't that there weren't any churches in Atlanta. The problem was not that there weren't enough churches in Atlanta. The problem that we decided we wanted to solve is that there were a lot of people who were fine with God. They just didn't like church. The problem was there were people who believed in God, but they just had bad church experiences and just didn't really, sync up with and link up with and, feel connected or want to be connected to a local church. So that was the problem we set out to solve. So we finally, wrestling with that tension that I want you to wrestle with, we came to the conclusion that our vision was to create a church unchurched people love to attend. To create a church unchurched people love to attend. And then we did it. And now we create churches that unchurched people love to attend. Anybody who comes to work for me at any of our organizations, anybody that comes to work for me, the reason they're coming to work, the thing we come to work to do is very simple. We create churches. Unchurched people love to attend. And if it'll help us do that, we'll do it. And if it doesn't help us do it, we don't do that. Now let me ask you this question. When your folks come to work, what are they coming to work to do? And if the first thing that comes to their mind is their job description, you have work to do. What do you go to work to do? Vision, the clarity around vision is so galvanizing that it has the potential to take people who simply feel like they have jobs, and it gives them purpose, and it does not matter what you do and what business you're in. Here are a few examples. eBay, we all know what eBay is. Their vision statement, a global online marketplace where practically anyone can trade practically anything. I love that statement. A global an online marketplace where practically anyone can trade practically anything. Now, what was the problem? The problem was people got all this junk. People have attics and basements full of stuff, and they think, I don't want to just give it away. What are we going to do? So we're going to be a solution to that problem. We're going to create a global platform where they can trade just about anything to just about anyone, just about anywhere. That was the problem they solved. The One campaign you may be familiar with, their vision is to make poverty history. The ALS Association, a world without ALS. When you go to work every single Monday morning for the ALS Association, you know why you're coming to work. We are here to create a world without ALS. Habitat for Humanity, another extraordinary organization. A world where everyone has a decent place to live. A world where everyone has a decent place to live. So what are you doing today? I'm helping to create a world where everybody has a decent place to live. Now, I only gave you one marketplace illustration, and I'll tell you why. Businesses are not good at this. And I'll tell you why nonprofits are better. Because I work for nonprofit and with nonprofits. Nonprofits understand the power of this principle because nonprofits have an easier time connecting clarity with prosperity. In the nonprofit world, the clearer you are, the easier it is to raise money. So nonprofits, they don't have an option. They have to have a laser-focused vision in order to get people to, because they have to move people's hearts so that they move people's money. But here's the thing I don't want you to miss. In the marketplace, this is no less important. It's just not as apparent. It is no less important, it's just not as apparent. And I could spend a lot of time explaining this, but let me just give you one little slice of information that may help. When you hire someone, you hire their hands, and you hire part of their brain. What you want to engage is their heart. A paycheck rarely engages a heart. Vision. Engages the heart. And no matter what you make and what you do or what goods and services you provide, there is something about what you do that has the potential to engage the hearts of the people that show up at work every day. You just may have a little homework that you need to do. So you got to make it simple. Secondly, you got to cast it convincingly. Whenever you're talking about your vision, there's 3 things you got to make sure that you do every time you talk about your vision. I'll put them up here real quick. You got to state the problem, offer a solution, and explain why. State the problem. Here's the problem our company solves. Here's the problem that marketing solves. Here's the problem that our division solves. Offer a solution, which is your vision. And then third, and this is tough, explain why. So let me give you a made-up illustration, okay? Our company, here's the problem. Okay, we're having a meeting real quick. Here's the problem. I went to this conference, so he said to state it in the problem. So here's our problem, folks. Our company builds one of the finest commercial grade. Our company builds one of the finest commercial grade routers available anywhere, but we're a small company in a crowded market. The problem is we have a great product, but nobody knows about it. So here's what the solution is. The solution is we are going to become the first name that comes to mind when companies replace their routers. We're going to become the first name that comes to mind when companies replace their router. And everybody sits up a little bit straighter, and then you say, but I've been working on it. It's even better than that. So our new vision, we're all going to memorize this. This is what you're coming to work to do. Our vision is simply this, to be the router of choice for IT professionals everywhere. Woo, that's better than, what do you do? We make routers or routers? Routers, we make routers, right? We're gonna be the router of choice for IT. See, that's a vision. In other words, we're gonna decide what comes to mind when people decide to replace their routers. Now, then you get to the harder thing. What's the problem we're gonna solve? What's the solution and why? What's the problem we're gonna solve? What's the solution and why? Why is tough. Don't miss this. Why is where you find your inspiration. Why is where you resist the temptation to say, so we get paid on Friday, okay? That's not the why. No matter what you do, I'm telling you, there is a bigger why that has the potential to tap the hearts of the people that work for you and around you and with you. So why do we care? We're making routers. We want to be the first name that comes. Why? And the answer is simply this. Because business moves at the speed of information, and we speed up information. That's what we do. We speed up everybody's information. So let me get this straight. So you make routers? No, we don't just make routers. Are you kidding? Look. Information makes the world go round. We make the information go round. We make the world go around. What do you do? We don't just make routers. What? Are you kidding? Information makes the world go round. We make the information go around. We make the world go round. I go to work every single day to speed up information. Present your vision as the solution to a problem that must be addressed now. Third thing, you got to repeat it regularly. And the reason you have to repeat your vision over and over and over, even though you think I've already said that, I've already done a talk on that, I've already explained that, I already presented that to the board, is because vision leaks. Vision doesn't stick. Vision leaks, vision doesn't stick, and this is why you have to make it simple. This is why you have to make it simple. It needs to be conversational. When I show up at our churches and our organizations, everybody knows we're creating churches unchurched people love to attend. That's what we're doing. We're creating churches unchurched people love to attend. That's what we do. That's what we came to work to do. It's the filter that we use for our budgeting and everything else. Why are people coming to work for you? What are they doing that goes beyond a paycheck? And there is a great answer to that question. You've just got to unearth it. You've got to mine it from all the data and from all the things that you do day in and day out. Last thing, fourth thing, you got to celebrate it systematically. Here's why. What's rewarded, this is so important. What is rewarded is repeated. What's rewarded is repeated. What's rewarded is repeated. If you reward the wrong things, guess what people do? The wrong things. If you reward the right things, guess what people do? We're all the same. We do the right things. So when you catch somebody, when you hear about somebody, when you get an email about somebody, when somebody tells you a story about somebody who's getting it right, you have to systematically reward and celebrate those things. So back to my imaginary router company. Hey team, come here. We got some great news. We just sold 12 routers to the CDC. Do you know what that means? It means that there is life-saving information flowing through our little plastic boxes. Today, you have been a part of saving children's lives, getting food to where food needs to be, and solving what could become an epidemic for some countries in the world. Congratulations. We're not making little plastic boxes. You are actually saving lives. Let's celebrate that together. It's not a paycheck. There is something that you do that goes to the heart of individuals. There's something that you do, there's something you create, there's something that you provide for your company that goes way beyond what's on paper or a spreadsheet. So vision, a mental picture of what could be, fueled by the conviction that it should be. Vision, a preferred future. My friends, this is a really big deal. And it makes a really big difference. And if you do your homework, it might just make a big difference for you.